So, we are facing a crisis of trust in the space of health, wellness, and medicine. And that's not because people are intentionally lying, it's because people have been exposed to misinformation for decades and they're largely regurgitating that misinformation. Of course, that raises the question of where is that misinformation coming from, but that's a separate topic. For today's video, I want to talk about just who you can trust in this space. And I'm coming from the perspective of a scientist. My job as a scientist is to figure out who is right, who is wrong. I try to poke holes in people's arguments and I try to find out who is actually telling the truth and who is closest to the truth. That's my daily job. So I have training in this. I have some experience in trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. And I also want to point out that when it comes to health and wellness, people have subject matter expertise. Someone will have expertise in one topic and not another topic, and so you can trust them selectively based on the topic that they have expertise on. So for example, on the topic of diet, I trust the most Anthony Chaffee. He is the one that I trust to decide what foods to put in my mouth, because I believe he is a leading expert on the topic of diet. And there's other people out there that claim to be experts that I do not trust as much. Even carnivore doctors like Ken Berry or Shawn Baker, who I do love, I do not trust them as much as I trust Anthony Chaffee. And of course, things only get worse when you consider other people who are not carnivore doctors. But with that said, Anthony Chaffee is not a world-leading expert on, for example, oxalates. Sally Norton is. And so when it comes to oxalates and how do I get oxalates out of my body and how do I deal with oxalate toxicity, I trust Sally Norton more than I trust Anthony Chaffee. But I do not trust Sally Norton when it comes to what diet I should choose for myself. So you can see how you have to choose selectively what you trust people for. And when it comes to other types of toxicities like copper toxicity, the oxalate people don't know anything about that. And so I trust Garrett Smith, Judy Cho, and Courtney Snyder on the topic of copper toxicity because they have done clinical studies of copper toxicity with hair tissue mineral analysis. But once again, the copper toxicity people do not know anything about oxalates, so I do not trust them on that topic. And then when we go to, say, the topic of deuterium, I trust a leading expert like Stephanie Seneff on that topic, but I do not trust her on all the other topics when it comes to copper, oxalates, or diet. So just to wrap up, the people that I trust the most are the people that have true clinical expertise on specific subjects. And it's crucial to basically only selectively trust certain types of people.